talk about it in full. People know the headlines. Teen escapes clutches of the Hollow Man. But they don't know what happened in those 7 days, or what it did to me. They don't know that I still wake up gasping, reaching for the doorknob that wasn't there. It started on a warm autumn evening. I was walking home from Jenna's house, headphones in, the weight of a school argument still heavy on my mind. The world was quiet, just the faint rustling of leaves and the soft rhythm of my playlist. I didn't see the van until it was too late. One moment I was on the sidewalk. The next, there was a blur of movement, a sharp sting at the back of my head. And then, darkness. When I woke up, I was lying on cold concrete. My wrists and ankles were bound with duct tape, my throat dry and raw. The air smelled damp and metallic, like earth after a storm mixed with something rotten. My heart raced as I strained to see in the dim light. The room was small and cluttered, lined with shelves of glass jars. At first, they looked like pickled vegetables, but as my eyes adjusted, I realized they were pieces. Fingers, teeth, scraps of what could have been skin or hair, all floating in cloudy liquid. I wanted to scream, but a rag was stuffed in my mouth, cutting off my voice. Hours passed before I heard him. The Hollow Man. That's what the newspapers called him later. But even then, before I knew his name, I could feel the emptiness inside him. His footsteps were slow, deliberate, as if he wanted me to anticipate each one. When he appeared in the doorway, his face was ordinary, almost forgettable. But his eyes were voids, black pits that seemed to swallow the light. "You're awake," he said softly, almost like he was greeting an old friend. "Good. I was worried I hit you too hard." I didn't respond, just stared at him, trying to will my body not to shake. He knelt beside me, tilting his head like he was studying a rare animal. "You're special," he murmured. "You're not like the others. I can feel it." I wanted to cry, to beg, to fight. But I stayed silent. Something in his tone told me he fed on fear. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. The days blurred together after that. He kept me in the basement, feeding me carefully prepared meals that looked like parodies of normal life. Sandwiches cut into triangles, a glass of milk with a single cookie. Sometimes he'd bring me books or play soft classical music on a small speaker. "I don't want you to be lonely," he explained one night. "I'm not a monster. I just need to keep you." The worst part wasn't the jars or the dark. It was the way he spoke to me, like he genuinely believed he was being kind. Like I was a treasure he had to protect. On the 5th night, I found my chance. He'd fallen asleep in the chair by the door, the keys to my cuffs dangling from his belt. My heart hammered as I inched closer, every tiny sound echoing in the silence. My fingers brushed the keys and I froze as he stirred, muttering something under his breath. But then he settled, and I knew it was now or never. The lock clicked open, and I ran. My bare feet pounded against the cold ground, the sharp gravel slicing into my skin. The forest outside the house was dense and endless, the trees closing in around me as I pushed forward. Behind me, I heard him calling, his voice calm but growing louder. "You can't escape me, sweetheart. The woods will swallow you whole." I stumbled, branches tearing at my clothes and skin, but I didn't stop. Not until I saw headlights piercing the darkness. A man in a pickup truck found me on the side of the road, shaking and covered in blood. He didn't ask questions, just took me straight to the police. They searched the area for days, but the house was gone. No jars, no furniture, no sign anyone had ever lived there. It was like the Hollow Man had vanished into thin air. But I know he's still out there. Sometimes I hear classical music in a store or on the radio, and my chest tightens. I see his face in crowds, hear his voice in my dreams. The Hollow Man doesn't just haunt me. He lives in the dark corners of my mind, where the memories I can't escape fester. They call me a survivor, but part of me is still in that basement, waiting for him to come back.